Another loaded show coming your way on the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and here's what we have coming up on the Niners Report Rundown. Will San Francisco target Sam Darnold instead of signing Brock Purdy to a contract extension this offseason? Jerry Rice sounded off on Deebo Samuel, and the Niners made multiple roster moves, including waiving a former third-round pick from the NFL draft a few years ago. All of that coming up, but first, if you want to give me a follow on X or Instagram, I'd certainly appreciate that. You can find me at Chase_Senior on both platforms. Obviously, I do all of this long-form content and some short-form content here on the 49ers Report on YouTube, and it's received very well. That's why we have over 150,000 subscribers, but I'm reaching millions of people on my social media pages with more Niners content. What can I say? I'm addicted to ball. And I just love talking Niners. So be sure to give me a follow over there. Don't be a stranger. Say what's up. Let me know what you think about the show, and we can chop it up. As for some Niners roster moves, let's begin there. Cornerback Ambry Thomas waived from injured reserve. That means that he can sign with any team across the NFL, given that he is a cornerback, and cornerbacks are very difficult to find, and teams are in need of corners. He is expected to garner a lot of interest. We talked about this signing earlier, how San Francisco signed offensive tackle Austin Pleasance to the practice squad. He has tackle and guard versatility, can play both tackle spots and along the interior. Big guy, 6'7", 330 pounds. The Niners also adding linebacker Chandler Wooten to the practice squad and tight end Mason Pline. UDFA, former basketball player. We've talked a lot about him this year. He has been added to the practice squad injured reserve list. His season is over, and I imagine he's going to try to make a play at being a backup tight end next year in 2025. As a rookie and as a raw player, he really enjoyed being able to develop under the best tight end in the game in George Kittle. Want to spend a few moments talking about Ambry Thomas here. This is an interesting story for a variety of reasons. You think about the NFL draft a few years ago, back in 2021, when the Niners drafted Thomas in the 3rd round and Deommodore Lenoir in the 5th round. Thomas no longer on the team. Deommodore Lenoir, this year he's emerged as an all-pro, Pro Bowl level corner. He epitomizes what the Niners are about as far as how he plays the game. His confidence, his swagger, physicality, leadership, flying around, and their player development program. And Lenoir just signed a 5-year, $88 million contract extension. Kyle Shanahan had Lenoir and Brock Purdy address the team prior to that Bears game. That's how highly this organization thinks of him. And Thomas, he's yet another failed 3rd-round pick. And the 3rd round has not been kind to the Niners in recent years. In 2019, they drafted Jalen Hurd. He's out of the league. In 2020, they did not have a 3rd-round pick. In 2021, they drafted Trey Sermon and Ambry Thomas in the 3rd. They're no longer on the team. In 2022, San Francisco drafted Ty Davis-Price and Danny Gray. They're no longer on the team. And in 2023, Jake Moody and Cam Latu. Cam Latu was let go from a practice squad today. I believe the Cleveland Browns I saw. And Jake Moody, he's been a little bit up and down, and the results have been mixed. So this year, we've talked about the lack of depth for San Francisco really hurting them on both sides of the ball with the bevy of injuries that they've suffered. When you fail and miss on a lot of draft picks, whether it be first rounders, San Francisco has not had a lot of success there. Elsewhere, in the 3rd round, when you talk about a lack of depth, a reason for that, whiffing in the NFL draft. I want to talk about this next. Should the Niners move off of Brock Purdy and target Sam Darnold? Stay tuned for that conversation because I have a lot of thoughts after what Brian Baldinger said on the radio in San Francisco today, and that's coming up just around the corner. On top of that, Jerry Rice giving it to Deebo Samuel. We'll just dive into that as well. But first, today's 49ers Report sponsored by our friends at PrizePicks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game with more than 10 million active members and billions of dollars handed out in awarded winnings. And throughout December, PrizePicks has a lot of free plays and specials that they are offering all of you. Merry Picksmas, everybody. You pick 2 or more players, you choose more or less on their projected stats, and right now, when you play $5, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, and right now, you can win up to 1,000 times your money with our friends at PrizePicks. Looking ahead to Niners-Dolphins. Deebo, no. We're going to go less for Deebo Samuel than 46.5 receiving yards, and then Tua Tagovailoa, less than 253.5 passing yards. The Dolphins are one of the softest teams in all of football. The Niners pride themselves on being tough. If they lose this game, that is a bad look. Run your game with PrizePicks. Download the app, create an account, and right now when you play $5, you get $50 instantly. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS. We'll put that link down below in the show notes, and it's attached to the pinned comment of today's Niners Report. We move forward on this loaded show. Should the San Francisco 49ers move off of Brock Purdy and target Sam Darnold? This upcoming offseason, the Niners have a massive decision to make. Will they extend Purdy? And if they don't, could Sam Darnold be a cheaper option and the future of the quarterback position for the Niners? Now, this is coming to the limelight because Brian Baldinger, former NFL player, great NFL analyst for the NFL Network, went on 95.7 The Game today and said when asked about the Niners quarterback situation, he would have a discussion on whether or not to flip Purdy for Sam Darnold. Now, of note, last year, they were on the same team. Purdy was the number 1 quarterback, Sam Darnold the backup, and Purdy beat out Darnold going into the 2023 campaign, and that was when Purdy missed the entire offseason, came back for training camp and in the preseason, and was recovering from a UCL surgery in the elbow of his throwing arm. Darnold, though, has had a lot of success, and he's made this conversation very interesting, and I do think that him having success this year was a byproduct of him being with the 49ers last year. He was constantly with dysfunctional dumpster fire organizations. He had a year to reset, take a breath, revitalize himself and his career, and develop with a winning organization and coaching staff. What Darnold does have on Purdy is definitely a much stronger arm. He can complete throws at all 3 levels and from sideline to sideline with some more zip and velocity as compared to Purdy. What Purdy has on Darnold, he throws with better anticipation. He processes a little bit better. I do think he's the more accurate quarterback, even though Sam Darnold this year has better accuracy numbers. Darnold, too, really excels with that deep ball, partially because of him having a rocket launcher of an arm. Brock Purdy last year had one of the top completion rates on deep balls. This year without Brandon Ayuk and with receivers not gaining separation, his deep ball numbers have gone down. But we saw it against the Los Angeles Rams. Even when guys were open, Purdy was struggling to throw it deep. When you compare both quarterbacks this year, Darnold has had a much better season. He's completing 67.6% of his passes. Purdy is down to 65. Darnold has thrown for more than 3,500 yards. Purdy for more than 3,100. Touchdown to interception ratio. Darnold at 29 touchdowns, 11 picks. Purdy, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. Yards per attempt. Purdy led the NFL in this category last year. He has the edge, 8.4 to Darnold's 8.3. And passer rating, Purdy was number 1 among all quarterbacks in 2023 en route to him being top 5 in MVP voting. This year, though, that passer rating is down to 94.3. Darnold's is very good at 104.9. Of course, context is important, though. Darnold this year has benefited from stability and consistency. Kevin O'Connell is one of the top play callers and offensive minds in football. Darnold has a great wide receiver duo, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. The run game with Aaron Jones is very good, and the Vikings have one of the top defenses in the league with one of the top defensive coordinators, if not the best DC, in Brian Flores. For Purdy, since the start of training camp, there has been consistent chaos. There has been constant inconsistency. Players in and out of the lineup. Brandon Ayuk holding in. Trent Williams holding out. Christian McCaffrey missing pretty much all of the season. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. Sometimes they're playing, sometimes they're not. And so Purdy has had to deal with all of that chaos, and there's something to be said for that, especially a quarterback who, when you think about his strengths, it's the aforementioned timing, accuracy, processing, leading his wide receivers, laying throws in there, but he also has a timing-based game, and he has to use those attributes to make up for the lack of physical skills. But if Darnold re-signs with Minnesota, here's the kicker. Even though he's having a really good year and Minnesota is a Super Bowl favorite, they could get the number 1 seed in the NFC, it won't be for $50 to $60 million per season. And according to my sources, I talked about this yesterday on the show, that's what Purdy and his camp are seeking. So Darnold, the more stronger player with more intriguing physical attributes. Purdy has more of a sample size of playing better as compared to Darnold's lone year in 2024, but that price tag is going to be pretty drastic. So pick a quarterback for 2025 for San Francisco. Is it Sam Darnold type SD? Is it Brock Purdy type BP? Let your voices be heard down in the comment section right now. We round out with this. Jerry Rice giving Deebo Samuel the business. He said this about Deebo, quote, "I would have been pissed at myself talking about that game on Thursday night against the Rams. That ball that he dropped after you complain about not getting many touches, you cannot drop that football." We talked about this on the show ad nauseum. Deebo Samuel catches that. He takes it to the crib. And here's the thing. When you talk and then you double down, when you tweet and then you're by your locker saying, you read what you read, you better back it up, especially in the social media world where things will go viral and word will spread like wildfire. Deebo Samuel talked on Twitter and talked a big game. He then doubled down at his locker. And what did he do? Had a terrible game. Did nothing. He was atrocious. And he dropped a would-be touchdown that could have won the Niners the game and could have kept their playoff hopes alive. If they win that game against the Rams, the Seahawks lost on Sunday night against Green Bay. The Niners would still be in the thick of the race for the NFC West. And how about these numbers? Shout out to Jimmy Kempski for putting these out on X. This is how Deebo has fared in-season ending games over the last 3 ball games in which the Niners season has ended. You think back to the NFC Championship game against the Eagles in 2022, the Super Bowl against Kansas City back in February, and Week 15 against the Rams in 2024. Deebo Samuel, 9 catches on 24 targets for 72 yards. That is 3 yards per target and 11 carries for 2 yards. That is less than a yard per carry. Again, let me say this. If you talk the talk, you walk the walk. Deebo said, I'm fine. I'm just not getting the ball enough. I'm not washed. He looks every bit of washed. And I know some people are going to get butthurt about this because I'm going to bring up the Philadelphia Eagles, and you don't want to hear about that. But what happened last week for Philadelphia? A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were asked what needs to improve with the Eagles offense. They both said passing. And what did they do the following game? They backed it up. This is how you do it, folks. You take care of business if you're going to open up your mouth and talk a big game. A.J. Brown, 8 catches on 11 targets against one of the top defenses, 110 yards, 13.8 yards per catch, and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 11 catches on 12 targets, 109 yards, 9.9 yards per catch, and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, total flop. If you love the 49ers report, let's do a real one roll call. Type real one down below. Win or lose, good season or bad season. I always have you covered here on this channel, and I appreciate you.